the house, and we are going to announce the new median prices of homes as of the end of May. You want to take a guess?
Well, first, do you record this? Is this recorded?
Yes.
So we can look back a year from now and say how right Ruthie was, huh? Or 459, 750. That's my guess.
It's 478.
Wow.
478,000 is the median price as of the end of May. And if you look at the first 6 days of June, it's above 480. Now that will probably settle down, I would assume, because I'll tell you why. If you look at the number of $1 million homes that closed the end of May, beginning of June, I think that it certainly affects the pricing of
Well,
the
it affects
average.
the mean a lot more than the median.
Right.
The
Yeah.
median is a lot less sensitive to those $1 million houses selling because they're limited number of units that sell over 4.7 a day, I think is what you had on your last statistic.
Yeah.
So it's not like they push the median up.
You're right. I'm just thinking average, but yeah. But the average always tends to eventually affect the median, but over time. That's why the first week of the month, it's kind of like we're only selling 57 homes a day. Last month we sold 102. So I'm sure that 57 will go back up there. So, the first week of the month is pretty and what are we in, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, only 4 days of sales. So yeah, definitely things will change. My curiosity, Jimmy, is the 478,000 median price, and if that's going to affect sales because of the interest rates.
Well, affordability is definitely impacted it seems like every month we look at another hit to affordability.
And I think we talked the other day about what 68% of homes are equity rich. So you've got that to consider too, that there are people with a lot of equity. And when you look at this chart here, that I don't know, we can't see it that well, but if somebody bought a home 10 years ago, they paid 199,000 for it. So they've almost doubled their equity.
Mhm.
So there are people out there with that are equity rich. I think a large percentage, I think it's 28%, are free and clear, and then the other 18% are 50% or over. Was that what we said?
It's actually a little higher free and clear and a little
Yeah.
higher equity rich, but to get it to 68%, you got to have about 30 and 35.
Yeah. I think one's 28 and the other one's 38, something like that. Yeah. But anyway, the point is there's a lot of people out there that have equity that can sell their homes.
They can, but do they want to? The number going on the market is still very low. Hey, Ray.
Well, we're selling as many as we're listing. So we're still churning. The market's still churning. So that's good. We listed, we have $855 million homes available, which is about 16% of the market. And then the single family homes that are under the $478,000 mark, there's about 1,113 of those, which is 31% of the market. So I think, and we're selling 102 a day, and we're listing about that. That's from May. We'll see what happens. Well, we listed 106 yesterday just to validate that point. You see what I'm saying? The market we're selling, but people are listing. I mean, we listed 106 yesterday. So that's a big number. That's 73 were single family homes. So there are people that want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And because they have equity, and what do they say? The 6 Ds?
Yeah, divorce, death, displacement, disability,
diplomas. But there's always reasons why people want to sell, downsize. They want to downsize, or they want to move to a different community. I mean, there's all types of things. So that's why I think the market's pretty healthy here, because there's a big pent up buyer demand, as we know. there's more buyers than there are homes to accommodate those buyers with the average sales over the several years, according to NAR.
RJ reported the other day that there's 9,000 permits pulled the first quarter for brand new homes. That's 3,000 a month. They're only selling about 1,200 a month. So they're pulling a lot of permits, which means they're getting ready for another buyer push.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with all the construction, there's $30 billion worth of things going on in this town as far as projects. And of course, one of the big projects is going to be the Sony movie studio at Town Center in Flamingo. So that's going to require a lot of construction. A lot of once it's finished, it'll have a lot of employees that want to move here, probably from California, because they're in that industry. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be definitely something that we've talked about in Las Vegas for many years, but now the person that's behind it they're icons in the industry, so they have more credibility. Some developer wants to develop, Hollywood and Las Vegas. Well, unless they have credibility in the film industry, who's going to follow them? But Mark Wahlberg's got credibility as a director, as a producer, as an actor, all the way around. And he's been living in Vegas for a while now.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, he lives at the Summit. And what, I don't know, the land he bought was up in the millions, and he's an amazing person. That Summit is an amazing community. I think I said the other day there's a condominium on the market in their towers for 14 million.
Well, and Blue Heron announced they're building 5 homes up at Skyview for $30 million each, 5 of them.
Yep.
So
we're definitely bringing the money here. And, I'd like to just say something about that, because we're coming up on August 17th, and we're probably going to have to do some role playing, because the thing about Vegas, which we know, is people are moving here 5 per hour. So we are talking to people who either have a home to sell, have sold a home, they're coming here on vacation and looking at homes. So I think that we really have to do some role playing when it comes to presenting the buyer brokers agreement.
well, and you told me Tom Ferry did a show today about role playing for a seller and how you communicate what do you want to pay the cooperating agent.
And I think that's going to be key. Brian Buffini has the big push on this year for listings. Tom Ferry, he and Jimmy Macklin just started a campaign of getting they want 100,000 listings across their ecosystem, of course. But anyway, so their whole thing is, if we get these sellers to realize that they're going to be buyers, right?
Right.
They want to sell their home, and then they have to buy a home. So that's something that you have to sit down with the seller and during your presentation say, look, we want to offer X amount, to the buyer's agent. And then I think before that, you want to say, what have you heard about it? Because they've heard things in the Wall Street Journal and other publications in the media that the home prices are going to go down because of this, and the seller doesn't have to pay commissions anymore like they used to. They're going to be cut in half, perhaps. So there's all this media hype that's going on, and we need to be the people that bring them, back to reality. And I don't think the prices are going to go down in Vegas, that's for sure, because we keep having demand. And I think we just have to educate the sellers that they're going to have to offer compensation to the buyer's agent. And that will, I think that, I don't think that's going to be a difficult conversation, because the seller ultimately wants to sell their house and move on. And the more people that see it, the more chances are someone will buy it. What are your thoughts?
Well, and we're going to teach the ABR here. And when we teach it, it'll be 12 hours of CE, and it's going to be free. So we're going to take the LVR course and offer it here locally, here your company, Agent Formula. But one of the dialogues in there is, Mr. Seller, when you bought your house, did you pay a commission as the buyer? No, the seller paid it. Well, that's the reason the seller paid that. And sometimes the sellers even offer bonuses, like some of the brand new homes. If they have a standing inventory, they'll offer 4 or 5% because they want to be competitive to get the buyers in there. So, look at the real world in the market and think strategy.
Well, and there's that argument out there too among some of the podcasters that the buyers have always paid for the commission because they're the ones bringing the money to the table.
Yeah, they do talk about that too in the ABR class. They talk about the buyer has always been the one that paid. If there was no buyer, there'd be no money to pay anybody, the listing agent or the selling agent.
Exactly. So I think that one of the things Tom Ferry was saying today, and he had Jimmy Burgess on, who is one of the managers or VPs of Berkshire Home Services. And they were talking about nothing has really changed. And we've always, been defining our value, and we maybe need to articulate it better. But if we go in there and build a relationship and show enthusiasm, not fear, about, oh my gosh, I think we finally found a home. Let's go look at a home. Oh, and then you get all hyped up about going out and looking at these homes. And then you can just say, and now with the new rules, I have to have you sign this buyer representation similar to the duties owed, but this just says that, I will be compensated, and if the seller doesn't compensate me, you will, or something, whatever we determine the best pitch is. Jimmy, have you done any role playing?
Some limited. It's something that almost the broker's got to do in-house. The classes that we give, the format and the structure is dictated by the state as far as whatever you tell them you're going to do. And you can put some role play in there, but they want to make sure there's a certain amount of content on the topic. But you remember we watched Brian Buffini when this first rolled out. And Brian Buffini said, what's going to force agents to get better at three things. And he always got three things. He said it's going to force us to get better at lead generation, better at presentation skills, and better at negotiating skills. So he sees the outcome of this being an improvement in the skill sets of real estate agents that stay in the business. If you don't improve on those skill sets, you're not going to be able to stay in the business.
Absolutely. I just put up this roadmap that I think we talked about. There's a lot of buyers guides out there for the agent, but they're too large. You don't want to give them to the buyers. You don't want to give them 50 pages. It's pretty easy, I think, to explain what we do and the importance of what we do. And so I don't think it needs to be something we're afraid to do.
Well, the buyers just see two steps. The buyers see find a house, buy the house. Buyers see all this paperwork. They don't see that step. All the inspections and the request for repairs and the financing and appraisal and home warranties, and they don't see all that stuff. All they see is find a house, buy a house. And so this little roadmap makes it not too complex, but it shows them it's more than just find a house, buy a house. There is things that you need an agent for.
Absolutely. And the negotiations are throughout the journey of buying a home. I mean, from the time you make the offer, and then the due diligence period, if you find things wrong with the inspection, that's another negotiation. And then sometimes you're negotiating for extended period of time. You need more time for whatever reason. So, and I think 27 different negotiation points in that RPA, isn't that what they say?
Yeah, that's what one of the, like you said, in the ecosystem, people started figuring out, okay, how many times do I have to renegotiate this deal? And even Chris Voss said from the stage at an event that Tom had in Anaheim, he said there's like 23 or something negotiating points in the Black Swan group. But if you look at the roadmap you have on here, the first step is strategy. And as far as role playing and skill building and dialogues, when you tell the buyer we need to have a buyer counseling session, that's almost insulting. You need counseling. So instead we say, our first step is to have a strategy session to find out what it is that you want, the steps to get it, and whether or not we're a good fit.
Right. Exactly.
So it's a strategy, and the strategy is three things. Let's find out what you want. Let's look at the steps on how to get it, and then let's figure out if we're a good fit. Because maybe I shouldn't be the one helping you find it, but I don't call it a counseling session. And buyer counseling session is all over everywhere. I call it a strategy session.
Yes, and that's why I like this particular roadmap, because I think that's really what it is. It's strategy. And when you get to the funding part, there's more strategy in the funding part, and then selecting your home, and then the negotiations begin.
Well, and like you said, before selecting your home is the how much buying power do you want to use to get the house? And they call it buying power as a way to empower the consumer, but also let them know we need to figure out what our buying power is before we go to select homes. It's 1, 2, 3, not 1, 3, 2.
Well, and the other thing, Jimmy, about the buy, that's a good point, the buying power, because I call that a strategy, because you might need to ask for some, some closing costs so that they can buy down the interest rate. And
And, and
then
builders are doing that. So to be competitive as a seller, that may be something you want to compete. You want to compete with the new homes. That's what they're doing.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of strategy to this and negotiations all along the way. I mean, even it's funny, even to the last minute sometimes. Like we had, you and I were involved a couple days ago with an agent who, who the buyer signed, and then the seller canceled, and then the seller signed, and then the buyer canceled.
Well, and it's because the seller overheard the buyer saying, "I'm going to sue everybody when this is all done." And the seller said, if there's going to be a lawsuit here, then I'm not even going to close escrow with you." So the buyer opened his mouth when he shouldn't have. And I don't know whether the seller had cameras or where that comment was heard, but the seller said, "The reason I'm canceling is because I don't want to be sued later."
And they did have the cameras, and it
Yeah.
was recorded.
Okay. I
So
wondered how they got that.
yeah,
I've forgotten.
yeah, yeah, they did have cameras, and it was recorded. And the buyer's agent said, "Well, it was really just more of a tongue-in-cheek remark, but it doesn't matter. He still
Right.
said it, so he was thinking it."
Yep.
Mm, yeah. So anyway, so that was down to the last minute, and at the end of the deal, I mean, it was supposed to close the last Friday of May, and it just fell apart.
Yep. Yep. Got all the way down to the closing. And I know you ran some numbers as far as what deals fell apart back on the market. And I was quoting 5,000, and you said it's not actually 5,000, because sometimes people just take it off to go on vacation for 2 weeks and then they put it back on the market. So it's not always that the deal fell through.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to get you the accurate number. I just ran one for January just to see, what the actual number was. It was about 100 less than things that were actually just fell out. So anyway, I'll get that for you in the next few days, because that's an important number. I like it. You got a lot of people coming in there, huh?
Yep. Lonnie's here, our sponsor. Fabio's here. Ray's here. Jan's here. Rita Marie's here. Even though she didn't. Rita Marie says, "Hi, Ruthie."
Hi, everybody. Just so everybody knows, and Jimmy, when we're talking about the strategies and the loan part, and we're really trying to get the first-time home buyers back into the game, there's a lot of things that maybe people don't know, that if you're a community hero, there's many special incentives for veterans, for active military, for doctors, for firefighters, educators, and healthcare workers. So I think that we need to brush up on some of that. And I'm
Well,
doing.
wait. Where's realtors in here? We're community heroes, but they need to put us in there.
Yeah, they do. We really are community heroes, aren't we, Jimmy?
If it's not for us, there'd be no closings.
That's true. That's a good point. So anyway, in an effort to try to do this, it's National Homeowners, and so I'm going to be posting a blog. Probably now, not till Friday. Hopefully, Kane will feel well enough to come to work. It might not be till Monday, but still, we need to get the first-time home buyers back into the game. And the other myth out there among first-time home buyers is that they think you need 20% down. Well, a 20% down payment on a home is great, but it's not required. And so when you tell people many mortgages are as little as 3 to 5%, and I think we were talking with an agent yesterday, and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, with the rents that the people want, it's almost like 3% of a down payment, which is your down payment on a home if they qualify." So
Yeah, she was showing a $2,500 a month rental, and to move in, it was $7,500 between first and last and security deposit. That's $7,500. Just you got to put up just it, and that's if your credit passes.
yes, right, yeah. And so, 3 to 5% for a down payment, that might put some potential renters into the buyer's game. And there's always loans and grants that can cover that down payment too. So, we have to educate ourselves more on what's out there so that we can continue to sell homes to the first time home buyers. And then I thought this was an interesting study. 36%, which equals 41 million, are mortgage ready. I think it was Freddie Mac. Yeah, Freddie Mac did a study, and he found that 41 million of their database were ready to buy a home based on credit and current debt. So that's a huge number.
That's a shocking statistic. That is, when people talk about 50% of Clark County's renters, and they're saying 36% of them could actually buy, that means 3 out of 5 people could buy a house if you just showed them the way.
Yes.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. So some of that and some other resources are going to be in the blog that will hopefully be posted no later than Monday. And the point too is, listening to Tom Ferry all the time about being the knowledge broker, sharing information. How's the market? What do you know? Well, what do you think, Jimmy, about the market? Then you find out what they know, and then you tell them what you know. And that's why we provide all of this information, so that you can know the market. People need to know the market, that we're listing 106 homes a day, we're selling 102 homes a day. 31% of them are in the medium price range. People are impressed when you can show them those statistics, and because they're current. They're not April, they're June.
Well, especially too when you can quote the source. This came from Las Vegas Realtors. This came from Freddie Mac. This came from the Fed or whatever. When you can quote a statistic, but you say, here's where I got this, you may something different because different people do different research different ways. But this is from Freddie Mac, and they are the second largest lender out there.
Yes. So a lot of good information out there to help us share, with the public. And I can't say it enough. So August 17th is like almost 2 months away. If we don't start putting ourselves out there, not that nobody cares what you had for breakfast, but people want to know, okay, can I buy a home, and what's the process? We have so much information that we can do, like 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute videos 2 or 3 times a week, and get ourselves in front of people, so that when they come to us, hopefully they come to us, they've already determined that they know, like, and trust us, and that we have knowledge.
Well, they definitely decide to come to you before they're ready. They decide when they're in the getting ready stage. That's when they decide who they're going to use. They've already made up their mind if they're going to use you or not, because of what you did before they were actually ready to pull the trigger, when they were in the information gathering phase. And there's a very clear psychology. When I'm gathering information, I'm not ready to decide. But when I'm ready to decide, my decision is based on what I got during the information gathering stage.
Yes, and we just had an agent the other day get a buyer from Realtor.com, and it's a gentleman moving from San Francisco, and he said his secretary said that she researched Realtor.com and found out this particular agent had a lot of experience, and they liked the bio, which is going to be my next thing I want to talk about real quickly before you start your class. It's important that you all take your bios, put them in ChatGPT, and tell ChatGPT what you do and who your target audience is: buyers, sellers, investors, renters, whichever one you want to target. If you want to target all of them, that's okay. But you need to start making your bio about them, not about you. It can be about the service you provide to them, but it has to be what service. What do you really do for them? And that's what Jason Pantana and Tom Ferry and some of the other leaders in the ecosystem are doing all the time, letting people know what they do for them, changing their bios on all platforms, because people are going to find you somewhere, whether it's Realtor.com, whether it's your LinkedIn bio or your Google business page profile, whatever it is. People are going to find you before they call you. They don't like surprises. Those are for birthdays.
Yeah, my class is going to start in 2 minutes, so okay. I'm going to log out, and I'll watch the recording again.
And Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We'll see you again. Bye, everybody. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.